regulations and what have you. Yes, it will affect us. But what have we been thinking? What have we been doing? We need to work harder. We need to appreciate ourselves. Let us work together. The region must be integrated. African countries must come together and ensure that we are each other's keeper. If we are each other's keeper, Mr. Speaker, I believe that we should be able to get all the drugs that we think we need. And also, Mr. Speaker, last but not the least, before I take my seat, let us appreciate our local persons who provide certain medications. Let us make sure we work on them so that they will be able to support us with some locally produced medications which really help. And I'm sure it will go a long way. So as for me, I don't blame Trump for what he has done. He has only woken us from sleep. Let us wake up from the slumber, let us work, and let us keep together. And inshallah, we shall be well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. I will give the floor to Honorable Ntim Fojo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I rise to comment on the two statements that are on the floor and to commend the makers of the statement, the Honorable Mohammed Amin Adam, member for Karaga, and the Honorable Nana Oseje, member for New Jabin North, for bringing to the fore Trump's policy implications on Ghana and the shutdown of USAID and its potential impact on Ghana, respectively. Mr. Speaker, since the establishment of USAID by President John F. Kennedy in 1961, the agency, in my view, has served its mandate truly and fulfilled their mandate of assisting humanitarian interventions across health, education, and many sectors, particularly agriculture, in many countries. If it has come to a point where a new president deems fit to take the country on a new direction in their national interest, it is important that we in Ghana also reposition the fundamentals of our economic decisions to be able to be resilient to absorb the potential shocks that these decisions will have on us. Experts have predicted, and rightly so, the makers of the statement have also corroborated, millions of Ghanaians that are going to be impacted adversely by these decisions by the President of the United States, particularly across the sectors of agri, education, and health. This year alone, as the figures have been indicated, Ghana requested, in partnership with USAID's intervention, a total of $137.7 million. And out of this, $16 million relates to education. It is important that recognizing the critical roles that the partnerships Ghana had underway with USAID relating to sustainable agriculture, supporting farmers to improve their yields in health sector, very important critical programs on HIV prevention and ensuring that some key diseases are fought and treated, and in particular in education, having traversed from transition to English Plus to now the stages, the G2G agreement. It is expected that the first budget of President Mahama in 2025 should be responsive and should be robust enough to be nuanced to respond to the shortfalls that stare us in the face, the shortfalls that need to be addressed. We are expecting that to find expression in the budget that is to come. Particularly on health, in the year 2015, one early grade reading assessment indicated that in P2 learners across the country, only 2% of them could read at grade level. It took the intervention of the partnership between Ministry of Education and USAID's transition to English Plus, which was part of their learning activity, to ensure that phonics-based approaches and interventions were deployed across the country in very key schools. Teachers were trained in those phonics-based approaches, teaching and learning materials were produced, and by those interventions, supporting other interventions of the ministry and GES, were able to drive that improve upon reading abilities of our learners. And by the year 2023, when the National Standardized Test was conducted, we saw an improvement from 2% of pupils at P2 reading in 2015 to 38%. And that was a significant improvement. That program was touted globally as the best reading program. Now, we graduated from there, and in September, my boss here, the Honorable Minister for Education, former, and now Member of Parliament for Bosomtwe, Honorable Dr. Alsedichum, launched in conjunction with USAID the G2G level partnership agreement, which is stages, strengthening accountabilities in Ghana education system. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, all these are very important, but it shows that we as a government at this point, without having control over the decisions of other countries, particularly very key development partners, must take steps to prioritize funding to these critical education interventions to ensure the seamless implementation, to augment on the gains, to ensure that the decisions taken by President Trump do not halt our gains that we've made. Lastly, on deportation, the official numbers that have been put up by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs stand at 156 potential Ghanaians that face deportation. But however the numbers, they may be more
your
or
time
less.
is up.
Yes, it is important that they are assisted with consular services to be deported in dignity, not in chains. They are already facing traumatizing experiences, having been separated from their families with no hope of ever seeing them again. This is the time we call on Ministry of Foreign Affairs
take the floor
to ensure that they safely return our people.
You have the floor.
And I thank you with these few words, Mr. Speaker.
I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker. And I can only make a very brief contribution to the statements that have been made, but I'll focus on the one that was ably done and so deeply researched by the former Minister for Finance. I really enjoyed that work, and I actually focused on the areas that he ended his note on and mentioned that there needs to be some level of deep focus on social interventions, and I heard clearly the mention of education. I want to associate myself deeply with that comment and state that all the interventions that we need to move this country forward and expand our economy are linked to one important ingredient, which I call technical vocational education and training. And I'm happy that my seniors, both Dr. Reverend Ntim Fojo and former Minister for Education are here, and I believe they would really associate themselves with my mention of TVET. I say so because it is a known factor, it is a known fact that education is key to development, but the master key to development is TVET. And if this country would expand all that we need to be able to grow this economy, I believe that skills development is critical. All the industries that we need, they need to have a high level of skills to be able to uptake the technology, various technology that will expand our economy. And if this will develop, this has to do with how we're able to pump some money, finance our TVET education in Ghana. This is a very good and pragmatic way of improving upon our export development. And that is why the mention, one key policy that has found great expression in the NDC manifesto, which is being implemented now, the 24-hour economy policy, the mention of the 24-hour economy, the export development drive, the improvement, the improvement in apprenticeship, modernization of same. These are critical ingredients that I believe that if we pursue this and put some more funding in these, that they do not suffer, this country would improve economically. This country would have the necessary impetus to export and get the necessary foreign exchange that will drive the economy. I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Now, leadership. Leadership.
Mr. Speaker, I'm yielding to Honorable.
Honorable, you have the floor. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I will also want to join the maker, other colleagues, to thank the maker of the statement for such a thorough statement, well-researched by the Honourable Member for Karga, ably supported by also the Honourable Member for Akuapem, New Joabin, South, North. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I would focus on the gap and the implication of that gap on government fiscals. Mr. Speaker, the Speaker has stated clearly, the maker of the statement has stated clearly that this decision by the United States government, President Donald Trump, to cut funding globally, 98% of USAID funding to developing countries has come with its own implication. And in Ghana, annually, we are going to have a shortfall of funding of about 150 million United States dollars. Mr. Speaker, let me put this in context. The Honourable Member for Okakwe Central posited that we are going to have a shortfall of about 2 billion Ghana cedi. This is equivalent. In fact, it is falling short of the amount we earn from e-levy. In other words, government will need a revenue handle like the e-levy or similar method or similar handle to replace the funding gap. Mr. Speaker, the 2 billion shortfall will have to come on the back of the fact that government is already doing away with several revenue handles. And many youth programs, government programs, for instance, the Youth Empowerment Program by the USAID is going to be cancelled. Agriculture program, like the support program for farmers in the north, is going to be cancelled. Educational program, such as the Teaching and Learning Material, TLM Plus, by the United States government is going to be cancelled. This is the implication of the action by Donald Trump. And this, we must note that is coming to bite the Ghanaian economy. We are going to face the reeling effect of that action. Mr. Speaker, what can be done to ameliorate this situation? The maker of the statement ably, competently, and brilliantly submitted the proposed solutions. And I will go with one of the measures he mentioned, multilateralism. Mr. Speaker, the maker of the statement has actually highlighted the fact that we can still have relations with our development or multilateral partners, such as the African Development Bank and the World Bank. Once we get this relationship ongoing, they can come in to fill in the 150 million funding gap that is being created due to the United States government policy decision to stop funding to developing countries. Mr. Speaker, last but not the least, is the government's own measures to rake in...
Honorable Achampo, are you on point of order?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
What order?
Order 125 of our standing orders.
125 or 122?
125. Anticipation. Mr. Speaker, our rules are very clear.
Very well.
The honourable member is contributing to a statement, and we know making a comment should not provoke further debate. And he's anticipating that we'll cancel education this, we'll cancel health this. Please. Honourable member, the government of the day is going to present its budget by the end of the first week in March. Let's wait. If even the USAID is cancelled or withdrawing its support, let's see what is in that budget. The kind of provision this government is going to provide in the budget. So they can withdraw their support to us. We are not going to cancel any. You are trying fear and panic to the public. Our rules are clear. They can cancel their programs. They can withdraw their funding. We will make enough provision to deal with those issues. So Order 125 is clear. Don't anticipate anything which has not been brought before this House. We can do this outside this house. The
He's
budgets
right.
has not been presented. We don't know the kind of intervention this government is going to provide. By 27, there will be a State of the Nation address. So you'll be comforted, my brother.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, be guided. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, just safe to say that that wasn't what I said. The honorable member did not get the import of my point, and I'm thinking that he could have come on point to seek clarification to what I stated, and for the sake of the record, I stated that due to President Trump's decision to stop funding, there are ongoing projects by the United States aid, U.S. aid, and those include TLM Plus, teaching and learning material support to schools. My last check shows that there are over 48 districts that the United States U.S. aid is present. Those activities will be canceled because the funding method by the United States government is not going to come. So they are stopping their funding, they are canceling these programs with the government of Ghana. And that is a statement of fact. It is not anticipating anything. Mr. Speaker, so Order 125 is mute. It doesn't apply in this case. And thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was concluding. Let me conclude by saying that we will need to look at how we can generate, and I would support government any move, to the extent that it is consistent with the government plan and manifesto, to be able to fill in the funding gap. Because the good people of the North benefit greatly from the United States aid. For instance, the drought support program supports us a lot, especially so when we are engaged in dry season farming or when we are hard hit by drought. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the maker of this statement and to state that government must have to come with a concrete and cogent action plan to fill in the gap and to support the development of the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to add my voice in thanking the former finance minister and my brother, the MP for New Jabin North, I believe. Mr. Speaker, I don't think what is happening in the United States should come as any surprise to anyone. We have always known that Trump is an inward-looking president. Donald Trump is anti-globalization president. And we just have sat down and done nothing for a very long time, expecting that the result will be the same. The situation we are in now, and I don't even know why there is a finance minister here. The funding, the donor funding that comes into your budget is very small. It's not much. So I don't know why we're even making, we actually have to find 150 million. And I believe that the finance minister will find it. That is not the problem. The problem is the impact that Trump's policies will have on us. Some are primary effects, some are secondary. Honorable Patrick Boama talked about oil production. That will be it will have a primary impact on us because global prices of oil will go down and therefore we will not be able to get much revenue from the little oil, 120 barrels a day or so, that 1,000 barrels a day that we export. But also, this is a tremendous opportunity for us as a country. Yes, we are not going to, whatever happens in terms of the tariffs or the Paris Agreement or withdrawal of NATO or whatever Trump chooses to do, it's not going to affect us directly, but it will have a secondary impact on us. The remittances, it's not going to be much. I mean, so far we've talked about 150 people being being brought back home. That is not going to change, the numbers in terms of the remittances that we get into that country very much. But what is actually going to have impact on us is to do with trade. And at the moment, there's something happening that we need to wake up to. As Honorable Ladi said, this is actually a wake-up call for us, because a lot of the money that comes into this country, there's 150 million that comes into the budget, and the other ones that goes to various departments and agencies that the Ministry of Finance most of the time don't even know about it. That turns out to be what they call internally generated fund. A lot of these monies are actually being misused. They are not used effectively. And some of the people crying as a result of these free monies, they call it, that comes in and get misused. What we should wake up to now is that because of the tariffs that especially Asian countries, China, are going to be paying, they are beginning to move their productions from Asia, from China, into other countries, especially Africa. A lot of African countries, Rwanda, are benefiting from this. We are here. The headquarters of the African Continental Free Trade sits here, and we are doing very little. So a lot of these companies are basically moving their machines from China and other places to relocate themselves to places where they will pay much lower tariffs. In Africa, we have various agreements with the United States to be able to send things there on low tariffs. A lot of cotton garment businesses are moving. If you go to East Africa at the moment, a lot of garment companies are moving from China to relocate to Rwanda and other places because of the low tariffs on things like AGOA and things that people are able to send. These are the things we need to look at. And I know you don't like to hear 24-hour economy, but 24-hour economy is going to be a vehicle. If Ghana, if this government target some of these companies that are relocating to Africa and encourage them with tax incentives and other incentives. Some of them, the raw materials are here. That's why they are relocating. So if we can provide the raw materials, we can give them cheap labor, we can provide sufficient energy and efficient energy, and we can do all the things that will enable these companies to set up here, we can industrialize, or we will become the serious manufacturing economy that we should be. To be able to take advantage. So we should not just be crying of what is going to happen to us because we won't get $150 million to waste, or we won't get monies going into various departments and agencies, but we should look at the opportunities that this creates. As I said, Trump gave us a signal that Donald Trump is not a president that looks at things globally. He's an inward-looking president. You keep hearing, America first, America first. And now Ghana is crying that Ghana is last. The man has told us already. So, Mr. Speaker, this is an opportunity for us as a wake-up call to look at things differently and inwardly. And as the President said, that he has charged the finance minister to find this gap, the 150 million or so that we need to find is not a big deal. The finance minister knows that the donor money that comes into our budget is infinitesimal, is very small, and should not shake anyone up. But it's a wake-up call for us to find ways of building our own economy. 8 years ago, we were told that Ghana beyond aid, and today, Ghana still hasn't gone beyond aid. Those are the things we need to wake up to and try and address them. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, It's now 26 minutes after 6. Having regard to Standing Order 56.2, I proceed to adjourn the House till Thursday, 13 February 2025 at 12 noon.
Stronger with you, the new parfum, Emporio Armani.